Revelation 1496. From the 28th of June 1940. Approach to life dependent on belief in survival of the soul. The views of life of individual men are completely different, because they are always the product of the spiritual direction of the individual. But indisputably man will adjust himself affirmatively to life, that is, recognize it as somehow meaningful, if he regards himself as a creature, which has a task on earth. But man, to whom it does not appear acceptable that all creation is means to an end and he is man, so to speak, cause for every work of creation, to him the whole life will appear senseless, and the thought is pleasant to him to be able to end his earth life on his own authority, because he takes offense at all those events and sufferings, which are imposed on men from above. He has no right proofs for the assumption that the life of his soul is ended with bodily death, and still he assumes this so certainly that he arranges his life on earth according to it, that is, he lives without all sense of responsibility because he considers it impossible that he ever has to answer for himself. He has no real proof and still presupposes this assumption for his walk on earth. His view of life is based on the assumption of non-existence after death. He has no impulse, no faith that teaches him to think differently. Only irrefutable proofs of a survival after death would change his previous view of life, but these cannot be given to him because such an awakened faith would have no value before God. Therefore he cannot get positive knowledge about the soul's survival, he just has to believe the teachings about it. He has to bring himself to this faith, for which he has enough aids at his disposal. Only when he has gained this conviction does his view of life begin to waver. He will now make comparisons. He himself will no longer want to acknowledge that for which he had previously stood up. He will welcome a change of the outer life conditions, which help him to completely give up his wrong opinions and to now look at earth life completely differently. And therefore the willing man wrestles through it himself, if he just pays attention to this problem, which appeals to him to solve and therefore stimulates to spiritual research. When man has overcome this cliff, the danger is over for him because now his thoughts are directed, always towards eternal truth, and he will now also take earth life upon himself devotedly and patiently because he knows that earth life is only granted to him for a short time and that he must use this time and loosen the connection, which taught him wrong thinking. Now it becomes clear to him how erroneous the results of such an educated thinking are. Faith in God is the foundation on which every building is to rest, but without faith truth cannot be imparted to man and he therefore also cannot reach that view of life, which affirms everything, that is, which is the way to right knowledge. Amen.